Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and welcome to Week 10 of our digital show. I'm Jay Puskar alongside Mike Fenner and Kent Urbanski. And gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Steelers have won 4 straight games, and they did so on Monday night, beating the Chicago Bears. And Kent, you and I were at the game, and boy, what an electric atmosphere there was for the fans to watch this one. And a very interesting third into the fourth quarter of play.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, I thought Pittsburgh getting out to a quick start, that we were going to, be on cruise control, and then they come out and they do their typical lay an egg in the third quarter. Don't know why they do that.
Yep.
I mean, and I can predict it, and I hate it being down there for that.
Do you sense it on the field,
Yeah,
too?
you do. And it's like they take their foot off the gas pedal or whatever, or they go in and they get complacent, don't make adjustments or whatever, to keep the foot on the gas. And they let the other team, an inferior team, back in the game.
With a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it's maddening, So, but credit to the Bears. They did a good job, and, they made it an interesting game when I thought it was going to be out of control the first quarter.
And my coach Tomlin even said, look, this is our bugaboo. And that's been the trend over the last several years now, where Pittsburgh gets this nice lead. They're at home. They feel good about themselves. And then all of a sudden, there's less than 2 minutes to go, and they're now trailing in the ball game. I mean, this has got to be a problem that they got to fix, and they got to fix it fast.
Yeah, because really, at 14-3 at the half, you knew they had totally outplayed Chicago, but maybe left a couple points off the scoreboard. But there was just no sense that, even though they normally do that in the third quarter, I didn't get the feel that that was going to happen this time, because it felt like, all right, now the rookie quarterback, the wheels are going to come off. Here come the mistakes. And they just kept with the game, and Pittsburgh didn't do enough to keep it on the pedal there. But yeah, it's definitely something that after this coming week, they're going to have to be more concerned with, because it's becoming an issue, and it's becoming something that they need to be more focused on.
And almost that moment on special teams with the muff punt that returned for a touchdown, that's when I felt, oh my gosh, they could actually lose this game, because even up until then I felt like, no, they're at home, it's prime time, they've got this one in the bag. And then that miscue, boy, it backfired for Pittsburgh, and it almost cost them.
Yeah, and anytime you let the opposing team come into your stadium, and there was a good amount of Bears fans there too. We talked about that. That was one of our fan sound-off topics, about the Monday nighters, and do a lot of season ticket holders sell those tickets to opposing teams' fans, and it seemed like there was a pretty good contingent of Bears fans there, and they let the momentum. They gave that a big play. We talk about splash plays all the time, and especially on an opposing team that takes our fan base out of it and puts theirs into it. And it's NFL. These guys are professionals, and they're going to capitalize on mistakes like that.
And the biggest thing, too, guys, were the penalties. Chicago basically gift-wrapped this game for Pittsburgh, and, of course, the controversial taunting penalty.
Yeah.
But I think there were about 11 penalties on Chicago's side, and Pittsburgh never could really take full advantage of it.
Yeah, that was a penalty that has been talked about all week ad nauseum, and probably will still be, just because of course, Cassius Marsh, the former Steeler, kind of wanting to make a point against his former team, like, hey, why'd you let me go? And then goes too far. And that's just a silly play by him. And you don't put yourself in that position, when you have a chance to really threaten and get back in the game. And that really was a killer penalty that led to, the field goal, changes the score and the dynamic completely. But yeah, interesting situation there. I mean, that's been talked about and dissected a bunch. People debating, is it taunting, is it not? Don't put yourself in that position. You made the play. Just be done with it.
Yeah,
and they cut him, but so, hey, move on.
I remember looking up the sidelines right after that happened, and Cam Hayward was looking over there just going like this. And he's right, you got to be smart in those situations.
Don't let them decide that.
Especially, the roles, the players, and they bargain for that role to be put in there, for the fines of whatever nature comes along with that. So they're aware of it. But it's a game of emotion, and sometimes that takes over, and the adrenaline takes over, and you
easy for us to sit here and say, don't do that, but yeah, exactly.
And you just don't think about it. But there's been, you can't just point to that. There's other bad calls. The week before, Chris Boswell took a shot to the head. There was no penalty thrown in that game whatsoever. So it goes both ways, and
for sure,
it's whoever wins the balance of the flag wars, so to speak, wins the game.
And speaking of Boss, how great was it to finally have him back in the lineup? He missed that week, or the second half of Cleveland, but here he accounts for 17 points with 5 field goals made. I mean, he was the big deciding factor.
And steals a possession of the fumble recovery. I mean, how could you have predicted that after that incomplete pass in Cleveland? He's going to come back, not only hit those field goals, not only win the game, but he's going to have the fumble recovery that's going to take another possession away as well. I mean, that's just
after
incredible.
coming back from being concussed the week before, and then he's
just going to get right in there.
Yeah,
no
we
problem.
played a game like that when we were kids called Fumble. And the ball, if you get it, you get crushed by everybody, trying to make you fumble. And he, even in a press conference, he said, "Yeah, I got folded in half."
Oh yeah,
catching that. I'm like, that's what you need
Team
coming
player.
off a concussion, So, and but. I don't know. After he's making the field goals, he's headbutting everybody. I'm like, that makes no sense to me either. So, but we're just on the sidelines.
That's right. Well, in any case, as I mentioned, the Steelers have now won 4 in a row. They have the Detroit Lions coming into town in another NFC North matchup, and the Lions coming in winless. This is one of those proverbial trap games, too, where they're coming off their bye week. They're still in search of that first victory of the season, and the blueprint right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers is to get off to a really good start and then let the teams kind of creep back in. And Detroit's had a pretty good season so far. They just don't have any wins to show for it.
I was going to say, you could count probably 3 or 4 games they could have easily had, especially the Baltimore game. I mean, they could have easily beaten the Ravens. Right. They had a really tough loss there. A couple others at the end where you're thinking, how is this team not able to get one win? Dan Campbell, first-year head coach, definitely an old-school type of guy. Had some interesting comments in the introductory press conference when he got hired as the head coach. But it's a different look Lions team. Of course, everyone used to seeing Matt Stafford over the last decade or so. Now it's Jared Goff at quarterback. TJ Hawkinson at tight end is one of their big weapons. DeAndre Swift out of the backfield as a runner and a receiver, a big threat. They just don't have the receivers right now that really threaten downfield or challenge. You've got Khalif Raymond, who was riding the bench with the Titans, and now they claim Josh Reynolds from the Titans, who wasn't seeing the field. So those are probably your top 2 receiving options outside of the tight end and the running back. It's a tough, receiving core right there for the Lions. So interested to see how Pittsburgh can stop those guys. It just seems like if they can kind of take Swift out of his element, they should be fine.
And Ken, we heard from Tomlin earlier in the week at his press conference too, just talking about that this is a pretty solid Lions defense too, especially stopping the run. And Najee Harris didn't have a great performance Monday night, so that's going to be a key factor for them.
That. They adjusted in the second half and dictated whether he was going to run the ball. He was pushing his own pile at times, So and that's tough to get those kind of yards. It might be similar this week as they stack the line, bring linebackers up to stop that run, and dare Ben to throw the ball down the field. And how healthy has Ben? He's been nurturing a sore shoulder since the Raiders game, I believe. So it's going to come down to, I think, and that the offensive line for the Steelers needs to play a little better than they did. They got pushed around a lot against the Bears.
And then you wonder just some of the bumps and bruises with Chase Claypool. He's been a great target along with Deontay Johnson and everything. So you wonder what kind of weapons are going to be out there. And being able to sustain, that health throughout the course of a game and not have these guys for at least a half or 3 quarters. So what's your final take on this matchup, just knowing that it could be a trap game, but, this is something that Pittsburgh has to get this victory, just knowing what the schedule lies ahead?
Win the turnover battle and just be good in the red zone, both sides of the ball. I think they'll be all right. Just don't beat yourself. Don't make those mistakes. And then how about Pat Freiermuth? He's answered the call. We said a couple weeks ago, someone has to step up in this passing attack now that Juju Smith-Schuster's on the shelf for the year. And while, Muth isn't making the same plays that they're expecting out of Juju, he's been a touchdown machine. He's been reliable. He's made clutch catches, difficult catches look easy. He's been a huge part of this offense, and he really has been the guy we were looking for to step up and make a difference in the offense. And he's been asked to do it, and he's performed.
And you almost like to see him exploit the middle of the field more, and they just really haven't utilized him that much, but he has been a great asset when it's in the red zone.
They even when they drafted him at number 2, there was questions, but I don't think there's questions anymore. He's legit, and it was neat to see him and Heath Miller meet.
I was just going to say
right before the game, so maybe
awesome.
there was a little Heath Miller vibes thrown him that way. But the guy can catch the ball. He made some key blocks too, to spring Deontay Johnson down the side of the field too. So great addition. That whole rookie class seems to be contributing this year to the Steelers. So my take on this game here, the last time the Lions were here in 2013, it was a shootout. I don't want to see another shootout. Get a lead and then come out in the third quarter like it's the first quarter and own the third quarter and put the game away. I don't know that my heart can take too many more of these close types of games, especially at that time of night.
Right. Oh, it was a late finish too.
Yeah.
Close to midnight. It's not easy for us guys that are getting older.
No,
so.
not at all. So yeah, that's get a lead and beat this team. Don't be the one team that everybody's talking about during the week that the Lions finally got their first win in your house. That shouldn't happen.
Well, it could be a scary matchup just for what we've seen over the last few weeks with the Bills losing to the Jaguars and the Titans losing to the Jets. Didn't want to bring that up.
Right.
But it's just such a topsy-turvy league right now, week in, week out. You got to take care of business when it comes, especially on your home field. So
Right.
we'll see how it all plays out in week number 10. For Ken Urbanski and Mike Fenner, I'm Jay Puskar. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for Black and Gold Digital Edition.